Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Dork Publishing, expanding minds through fantasy since 2018. Learn more at the Dork Publishing website, www.dorcpublishing.com.
I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am your host, Kathy Blaze. Our next guest, what can I say about this lady? She does it all. She does hair, makeup, and she's a photographer, so she can take care of you all in one shot. So let's welcome our next guest, our first guest, Miss Kristina Bobina. Hello there.
How are you?
Good. How are you
Great
doing?
to see you.
Good to see you. Don't you look beautiful?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on today.
Such a pleasure. I'm loving that red lipstick.
Well, thank you so much. It's the color stay. You got to go with it, right?
Yes. And as a makeup artist, I'm sure you know, once you find a color you like, you need to buy it before it's gone.
Exactly.
The season is over.
Exactly. Buy multiples, right?
Right, right.
Oh,
Well, welcome.
thank you so much. Appreciate being here.
So, Kristina, you're a hairstylist, you're a makeup artist, and you're a photographer.
I
So you can do it all in one setting.
I can actually, absolutely. In fact, that's one of my specialties. Is I love giving kind of the full red carpet treatment and to my clients and be able to do their hair, makeup, and then a beautiful photography session for them.
And make it so this is all done by Kristina.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
So, Kristina, I always like to get started and learn a little bit about our guest, and so that our audience feel like they know a little bit about you also. So what was it that got you into this industry?
So actually, I am fully self-taught, and I started learning way back in the day. I'm old enough to remember before cell phones. So, back in the day, we had to entertain ourselves with something. So one of the earliest gifts I got was actually a makeup book, and it was called Making Faces. And I would sit there and just study it and be amazed by the different looks that they could create, the different contouring, things like that, and of course, practice on myself.
Yes.
So I was always self-taught and just kind of came up through the industry, did high school drama league, which got me big into it when I was in high school, and then eventually moved on from there. So
I love it. You know, little girls, I mean, we love playing in makeup and doing hair. I remember as a little girl, my aunt, I always thought she was so beautiful. And she'd be in the bathroom putting her makeup on, and I'd just be sitting outside the door admiring her.
Aww.
So now my little girly days.
It's so cute, I know. And kids are adorable because sometimes they're the ones that are most fascinated by what you come up with. Yeah, so that's really sweet.
They are. So, you have always done this. You're self-taught. What? First off, are you a native of Arizona?
No, actually, I'm an East Coaster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was born in Massachusetts, spent my early life there, and then spent most of my life in Florida. I moved out here 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Okay, so what was that brought you out to Arizona?
Actually, unfortunately, just a family illness. So yeah, I came out to caretake for my mom. Caretake for my mom before she passed away.
Oh.
So yeah, ended up staying.
That was a blessing that you were able to do that.
Yes. Thank you so much. Oh no, it was a very much a blessing to be able to do that. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So you came out here for mom. You didn't come. So once you got out here, how was after taking care of your mom? How did getting into the industry? How was that for you?
So that actually came by happenstance. This always used to be my part-time job. You know, I always had a day job. In fact, I ran restaurants, fine dining restaurants for over 20 years. But when the pandemic hit, everything changed. I was teaching at a culinary institute in town. The program shut down. I unfortunately was one of the millions of Americans laid off. Right. And so I realized that, I could start going back to my creative roots. And so it was wonderful. Right. Excuse me. Gave me an opportunity to pursue the makeup a little bit further. I know, right? Exactly. So I was able to pursue the makeup a little bit further, which you really have to have open availability to be able to drop everything and go to a movie set or drop everything and go to a shoot last minute. So it gave me the opportunity to do that. So it really was a blessing in disguise, even as much as I was terrified to lose my day job. It worked out well.
I know. So how was it on your first set? I mean, you've done makeup for a while. So how was it the first time you worked on a movie set? What was that like for you?
It was magical, honestly. It's amazing to see what happens behind the scenes, how much goes into behind the scenes. Oh my goodness, I had no idea how much work goes into making a movie or any type of production, really, as far as cameras go, because all the different angles, all the different takes, everything that you have to work with. So that was amazing, but it was really also a big confidence booster because the crew didn't know at the time that it was my first movie set, and once they found out, they were kind of amazed, and it was really a blessing. Again, really kind of cool to realize that I'd found kind of a niche out here. I used to do it mostly for print or theater, so before it was always more for, kind of something more static, but it was really exciting.
That just had a lot to do with your professionalism.
It did. It was really nice.
It really did.
Yeah, and then that's, like, of course, the best way to get business is word of mouth. So now I've been on a second set, which was incredible. In fact, we are filming our last scene tonight, in fact, in Chandler.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been doing behind the scenes photographs and hair and makeup for them as well.
Wow.
So it's been really fun, yeah.
You know what, I also noticed you got lots of ink.
I do, yes. I am a fan of ink therapy, absolutely.
So when did you get your first tat?
Ooh, you know what? Probably, I hate to say it, about 20 years ago was the first one, but I was a slow starter, honestly. It wasn't until about 7 years ago that I started going to tattoo conventions, and that's really what got me hooked, was going and sitting for those long periods of time, but leaving with a work of art. I mean, I feel very fortunate to be a living canvas for a lot of artists' beautiful work. So.
You know what? I had taken my daughter out to dinner for her birthday at her favorite place, and the waitress there came to serve us, and I was telling her how beautiful her tattoo was. Then she had to show me that she had a whole sleeve, and it was like from here to the other side. Do you know this lady told me that was her first tat?
Ooh, I've seen people do that, and that's extreme. I give them all the respect. I wanted an itty bitty butterfly to start with.
And that was all during COVID. I mean, yes, she had a friend. I mean, she said she had always wanted to get one. Well, she really got it.
Yeah, she did. Absolutely. Good. Wow, good for her.
So you do makeup, you do hair, and when did photography come into place?
So that actually happened in college. I decided very briefly to study art in college, realized it wasn't the best thing to study, but I really had a passion for photography. I ended up working, actually being hired to work in the college darkroom, and that was, again, back when we were doing film, which was really neat. And from there, I got hired to a wedding photographer, and it just kind of blossomed, and so it was one of those things that, again, always on the side, but usually it was wedding photography, things like that. But
well, and it's a good thing you have it on your resume that you do in hair and makeup also.
Exactly, absolutely, because a lot of the brides, absolutely, tons of the brides, I did their hair and makeup for them as well. So I was able to start working in studio work when I moved out here, and that was something new for me, but I've had such a wonderful time working in studios. In fact, I get to open my own studio in about a month here. So thank you so much. Thank you. I'm under construction right now. So really excited.
That is wonderful. So that's a huge undertaking right there. I have a few associates that open up studios, and just especially depends on if it's one that needs a little work and you have to find someone to remodel things, or I don't know if you're going to be washing hair, what type of studio it's going to be, that you have to do all, I mean, just a lot of work goes into starting up a studio.
Tons of work. I mean, tons of work goes to starting up a business, as most people know, but unfortunately, when you do a full renovation, which I did. Actually, the place that I had was a print shop before, so it had nothing to do with photography, and I wanted to build out mixed-use business spaces as well. So I really did a full renovation on the area and put in a photography studio,
congratulations,
a little makeup studio, and then I'll have other businesses available there as well.
That is awesome. So that takes you away from that other job that you
had. Yeah, I no longer have the day job. This is it for me. This is it for full time now. The makeup, the hair, the photography. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, I really feel lucky to be able to do it full time now.
So you're starting your business. Where do you see yourself? Have you thought about where you see yourself in, say, 5 years?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, with the incentives that they've passed now here in Arizona for filming, I'm excited to be in the film industry. I mean, I think that I'm right at the beginning stages of it, right at that base level, and just excited to grow in it, really. excited to meet new people, network, and be able to go on more jobs, And so I'm just honestly just excited. And I think in 5 years, I hope that, I'm a big name in the industry, as everyone hopes for, I'm sure, right? That's the dream for all of us. Hopefully I'll be your exclusive makeup artist when we're in Hollywood at that point, right, Kathy?
You know what? I love one thing that you've said a few times, and like, you're a mature woman.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you're not a 20-year-old. Look, one of those
double that, and you'd have it right. But yeah,
you're not one of the young birds.
No, not in the least.
So you know what? A lot of women, when they get a certain maturity, they think they're too old to do things like this. And I love seeing that you're out there and you're running.
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, you know, I see a lot of those "you're never too old," you know, memes online. And I look at those. And before I thought I had my career, again, you talked to me maybe 2 years ago, I'd say, oh, I've been 23 years in the restaurant industry. I'll never get out of it. You can bury me here in the back, you know. And so
just cover me in flour.
Pretty much. Exactly. Repurpose me into bread if you need to. But yeah, you know, once you really have that, when you don't have a choice, then it changes things. And so it really gave me the opportunity, either sink or swim. And, you know, I know a lot of people sunk during the pandemic, you know, and a lot of people came out of it a lot worse. I certainly didn't come out of it any richer.
But one foot in front of the other, you were ready to go when it was time to go.
Exactly. Absolutely. Put the baby steps in place.
And that had a lot to do with mindset, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, huge thing. Mindset's everything. And that's one thing that I've, you know, mindset and really taking care of yourself, self-care. That was one thing that working 80 to 100 hours a week, I knew nothing about self-care.
We're going to talk more about self-care right after this commercial break.
Sounds great.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am here with the lovely Kristina Bobina. I love saying that, Kristina Bobina. You know what? It kind of reminds me of what was the lady name that used to dance with the fruit on her head?
Oh, Carmen Miranda.
Yes, that's what it reminds me of.
So that's actually a funny story about the name. I'll give you a little history. So I don't know if you notice, I have Rubik's Cubes on my ears here. So I'm a child of the 80s through and through. And so when we were, you know, when I was a kid, it was Kristina, Bobina, Banana, Fina, Fofina. So I actually started vintage competitions about 1.5 years ago, and I needed a name for the stage. And I said, oh gosh, what am I going to do? And so it was a joke at the beginning. I said, I'll just do Kristina Bobina. I'll figure it out later. But then I started winning crowns. Then people started getting to know me. Then I had people started to know me with the makeup. And so I actually named my business Beauty by Bobina as my makeup business. So
that's I like that. You know what? Once you put it out there and people start to know you by that, you might as well stick with it. That's your brand.
Absolutely. And that's what my IMDb is under as well. So I laughed. I said, well, I guess it's really official now, Kristina Bobina.
Yes. So Kristina, you've been doing this for a while now. So thus far, what's been one of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
Ooh. Honestly, I've been working on a lot of women empowerment films, which has been fantastic, but on totally opposite sides of the spectrum. One was actually filmed up in Sedona, and it was all about kind of finding the inner self and whatnot. And one was supposed to be set in Colombia, and it was all about female mercenaries. So it was really like, you know, from the badass to the, to the inner work. You know, it was really awesome to see the spectrum. So that's been a blast. And then really just, I love creative. I love to push myself creatively.
Yes.
So
you were talking about the one, the badass. Isn't that Sakari?
It is Sakari. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we interviewed Mr. Igeas.
Yes, Julian, absolutely.
Julian on this show. Absolutely. So what was that experience like for you?
Oh, that was fantastic. Really, really amazing. So I knew Julian from his studio. He's a portrait photographer as well. And I'd done makeup for his models. And so he had said to me a while ago, he said, oh, I wrote a script. You know, when it gets produced, I'd love for you to do the makeup. And you hear that and you think, oh, you know, everyone has a script. You know, I didn't realize it was going to happen. Sorry, Julian, I don't mean to say that. But, so when he called me, I was so excited. I said, really, we're going to start filming? That's amazing. So it was an amazing experience. However, he's funny. He told me, we're going to film in Miami. Well, again, I'm an East Coast girl, so I'm calling all my friends in Florida. Guys, we're coming to Miami. We're coming to Miami for a weekend. We're going to film in Miami. A couple days before we're supposed to go to Miami, I called Julian. I'm like, did you book the plane tickets? He goes, Miami, Arizona. I said, what? There's a Miami, Arizona? An hour and a half outside of Phoenix, Miami, Arizona, for those that don't know. It's a blip on the map. But yeah, it was much more apropos for, you know, the whole Colombian drug scene looking thing. You know, it's an old Wild West type look, but very funny.
Oh my gosh, you can imagine what your friends said.
Oh yeah, they had to laugh. They're like, so.
That's a good story.
It's not funny, I know. So I thought we were going to Miami.
That is awesome. I love the premise to that movie.
Oh, isn't that great? I know, really cool. It should be an amazing film. I can't wait to see it. So.
Yes. So you're now you're in the filmmaking industry. You're that girl now.
Hopefully, I'm trying to be, absolutely.
So before we went to commercial break, we were talking about women that are at a certain age range and feeling like they can't do it or they're too old or whatever. Society and media and their best friends told them that they can't do it because they're too old. What do you say to those women?
Oof, I say don't listen. My goodness. I mean, we're never too old. That's definitely true, because you never know when life's going to start again. And that's the thing, is that you have these opportunities and you just have to take them. One door closes, another one opens. So keep going. You know, that's the biggest thing. And I think for people that feel like they're too old, you know, 40's the new 20. Come on, you know. Really. So that's the thing, is just, you know, embrace your youth inside, because we all still have plenty of youth inside of us.
And you know what? Most times the person that's telling you you're too old or you can't do it, that's because that's the way they feel about themselves on the inside. So they need a partner.
Exactly. Absolutely. A little bit of encouragement. So,
and maybe you need to be that one to encourage them to come on.
I try to. I absolutely do. Absolutely.
So filmmaking, makeup artist, hairstylist, photographer, are you more passionate about either one of them, or is there one that pulled more closer to your heartstrings?
It's interesting. You know, part of why I didn't pursue photography as a career before is because I have such a passion for it. I almost hate to monetize it. So it's interesting, because I'm enjoying the career of the makeup artistry more, but I love taking photographs. So the opportunity to do both is just such a blessing, honestly. I mean, I can't complain. So,
you know, it's funny that you said that. We had a photographer on here, and that was one thing that she was speaking about, that she was so passionate about photography that she was losing so much money because she loved doing it, and she didn't want to charge people, and she was undercharged. She was doing so many pictures for people and losing so much money until she realized, you know what, I'm losing out on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you set your worth. You know, I tell people, in fact, I used to tell my students when I was teaching business management, you know, that worth is a concept, value is a perception. So basically, people have to look at your work and say, I want to pay a certain amount, or what am I getting myself into? Is she tricking me? Am I going to get different work than what she's showing online, etc.? So you have to set your worth. You have to set your value. And I had a wonderful friend who's a local photographer, sit me down recently, probably about 8 months ago, and she said to me, she goes, you are undercharging for your work. She goes, you're doing yourself such a disservice. And that was one of the first times I had heard that. And just having someone say that to you sometimes is really what you need, is to realize that, you know, you are worth more. And then once you set that value, you know, you don't get
and
to
you know what, and that
backwards.
is in every industry.
Absolutely,
no matter what we're doing in life, we need to set that value, because, you know, the way you value yourself is the way others are going to value you. 100%. They're going to see your value.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So is there any place in there in your business where you see yourself doing any teaching also?
Oh, I'd love to. You know, I see things like, I believe that platform is called Patreon, where they put on, you know, teaching platforms and videos and whatnot. I have been told, I've been asked by a lot of my friends to do that. And I think I'd like to do that eventually. I want to get the studio set up, make sure I have a teaching space for it. And then maybe I would do classes there. Again, I do a lot of the pageantry, so girls have asked about doing consulting for that as well. So things like that. So
and the reason why I asked that, because I mean, you know, I'm in the industry and I have a lot of associates in all areas. And one of my associates mentioned this, which is so true, is that, you know, a lot of our newcomers are coming out of school and they've learned to be a hairstylist or a makeup artist. And a lot of times they're teaching them one way. And it's amazing how so many come out and say, well, you know what, I only know how to do this skin type, or I only know how to do this hair texture.
Exactly, yeah.
And you know what, if you're a hairstylist, you should be a hairstylist and know how to do hair.
Absolutely,
if you're a makeup artist, you should be able to do makeup.
Absolutely, exactly. I 100% agree.
If the schools aren't teaching them that, maybe that's an avenue for the experienced artist to be able to mentor or train or offer classes,
right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see lots of opportunity there for sure to offer some mastery classes.
Have you ever experienced that?
As far as what? As far as
someone saying, I don't do this, or
yeah, I have to an extent. Usually it depends on what you find. But yeah, I think for me, not to say I wasn't one of those people before, but I'm teaching myself currently new skills, things like special effects, body painting, etc. Because I'm noticing that there is more markets available out there. So really it's about, you know, if you just do the bridal, just do the glam, you know, you can get a certain clientele and it's wonderful, but then you pigeonhole yourself. So really it's about, you know, how open can you be to learning new experiences. So, you know, I try not to work with people that are too close-minded. It's not really my style.
Right. Is there anything that you in the industry that you don't do? I mean, as far as in that your industry?
No, not at all. Well, I am not I'm not a cosmetologist, which means I don't do bleaching and coloring, like any hair processing, any cutting, any of that. No, I style the hair. Like I said, I can do any style wigs for people, things like that as well. Of course, install wigs, and then of course do all the makeup. But yeah, I just don't do the actual cutting or processing.
Okay, so you said you're working in film. Is there plans to learn more about the special effects type stuff?
Yes, that's the next thing on my list. Yep, I was teaching myself liquid latex recently and kind of working on different wounds, effects and things like that. Yeah. Because there's definitely, that's a huge thing to know, and that's a great skill to have.
Yes, it is. So, What about the social media? Are you utilizing that much? Like the TikToks and all of that?
Don't talk to me about the TikTok. I am, but again, I'm one of those people that, I'm Instagram at best. I try to keep up with the reels, things like that. I was having a talk with a friend today that I'm probably at the point where I'd like to hire a social media manager because I think there's so much potential out there. But again, if you're everything for yourself, then you limit yourself where you can really monetize your best skills.
True.
So I think at this point I'd like to hire a social media manager to really make that flourish.
Right.
So
or a virtual assistant also are very helpful in that area as well.
That's a great idea.
You are such a pleasure, and I'm sure you're going to be such a benefit to so many people out here in our industry.
Thank you, Kathy.
So where can our audience find you?
So they can find me online for my photography studio. It is desertrootsstudios.com with an S at the end. And then for my makeup, it's Beauty by Bobina. So just Instagram right now. I'm working on a website for the makeup, but right now just Instagram is the best place to find me. So Beauty by Bobina. The Instagram for the photography is Desert Roots Photography AZ. And then my personal one, which is where I put kind of an amalgamation of all my work, is going to be under Miss Kristina Bobina. So they can find me there. So
well, it was such a pleasure to have you here today, Miss Kristina.
Oh, such a pleasure as well, Kathy.
Thank you for joining us here on Desertwood Days, and we will catch you next time.
Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze was sponsored by Dork Publishing. Visit them at dorkpublishing.com.